iPhone 15 is not that far behind the 15 Pro, and even with the old prices, the question arises, is there anything better to spend your money on in the world of iPhones? And the answer is simple, yes there is. And in this video, I will tell you about iPhones still on sale that are a better deal than the 15 and 15 Pro. Let's clear one thing right off the bat, the iPhones you should not buy. I think this year you should not go with anything lower than the iPhone 12, this means 11, 11 Pro, 10s and 10R are out of the question. These phones used to be really great just a couple of years ago, but right now they look and feel extremely dated. 10R and 11 have old IPS displays, huge bezels, and a bulky design. 10s and 11 Pro are better with stainless steel and thin bezels. I know there are a lot of people who would prefer the rounded design of the 11 Pro to the boxy and edgy design of the latest iPhones, but despite loving that design, I think everyone should accept that nothing lasts forever. Performance-wise, these iPhones are nowhere near as good as the iPhone 12. Yes, they are still supported by the latest iOS 17, but I'm absolutely sure that iOS 18 will drop support for the 10s and 10R. And there is a huge chance the iPhone 11 will be dropped too. The only situation when you should buy these old iPhones is if you are on a budget and you need a phone right now. Because if you have $100 more to spare, then you should consider at least iPhone 12. Yes, Apple doesn't sell it directly from their website right now, but you can still find it refurbished for around $450. And believe me, for that price, this is a steal. And that price is for the regular iPhone 12, not the mini, because under no circumstances should you buy the iPhone 12 mini. It has a really small battery and the battery life is very low. It will not last you a single day. Chances are it will die before noon. So the regular iPhone 12 it is. What will you get for $450? As it turns out, the iPhone 12 is not that far from the iPhone 13 and even 14. It has a really good 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display. It's a 60Hz OLED panel that goes up to 625 nits of brightness. 625 nits is not a lot by modern standards, especially considering that the regular iPhone 15 now goes up to 2000 nits of brightness. But I know quite a few people who are using iPhone 12 right now and are more than happy with the display. It is still bright enough for the majority of the time you're going to use the phone. Indoors, no problem. Outdoors, under direct sunlight, problems. But aside from low brightness, I hardly can find any reason not to buy the iPhone 12, especially for that price. It still has a modern design that is not much less comfortable than the iPhone 15. I would even go as far as to say that the color selection of the iPhone 12 is much better and more attractive than what the iPhone 15 has to offer. You can buy the iPhone 12 in blue, purple, green, red, and these colors will be much more vibrant and lively than the pastel colors of the iPhone 15. Even iPhone 13 and 14 weren't as bold with colors as the iPhone 12, but okay, let's switch to something more practical. How does the iPhone 12 hold up in terms of performance? The A14 inside is still a very powerful chip. In real-world tasks, it performs comparably to the A15 in the iPhone 13 and 14. All games run fine with no issues and apps launch super fast. And those cameras, the iPhone 12 has 2 back cameras and 1 front camera, all capable of shooting 4K 60 FPS in Dolby Vision HDR. The photos these cameras produce can sometimes be amazing and most of the time are on par with the latest iPhones. It is really a very good and balanced camera system. And the battery life. The iPhone 12 will last you an entire day, especially if you buy it refurbished from Apple with the new battery. So yeah, this is a lot of iPhone for $450. Now let's take a quick break and talk about this video sponsor, Ugreen. I want to show you something you have never seen, the robot charger. Look how cute it is. This is a Ugreen Nexode RG 65-watt charger that can charge 3 devices at once. And here is its smaller sibling, a 30-watt charger. A big one has 2 Type-C ports and 1 Type-A port, which basically cover all charging needs of one person. The C1 port supports 65-watt max output. Charge the iPhone up to 60% in just 30 minutes, and a MacBook in only 2 hours. The small one has only 1 Type-C port, both chargers also have a mini display that shows the charging status with emoji. When the charging is finished, they will smile at you. I can use them to charge all the iPhones we're going to talk about today. The chargers also have GaN technology. That means these chargers are far more efficient and safe than the regular chargers. They also heat up way less and have a dedicated thermal guard protection that intelligently controls the temperature and power output to protect devices from overheating damage. The bigger 65-watt charger is by far my favorite out of these two and easily replaces all my chargers that would have usually occupied 3 outlets. Now it's just one. I will leave a link in the description for you to check them out. If you can spare a couple $100 more, then it might be reasonable for you to buy the iPhone 13. Apple sells it now for $600 new, and I believe that the 13 is a much better deal than the iPhone 14. Just think about it. The 13 and 14 have exactly the same displays. 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR 60Hz OLED panel. They use the same processor, the A15 Bionic. Yes, iPhone 14 has one extra GPU core, but that hardly gives any noticeable performance improvements in tasks that most people do with their phones. Social media, web browsing, light gaming, and all these tasks, iPhone 13 will perform just as well as the 14. These phones are also extremely similar in the battery department. They have almost the same capacity, and the battery life on both is very comparable. iPhone 13 might lag by a couple of minutes, but this is surely not a big deal. There are only 3 real things that are better on the 14: crash detection, satellite connectivity, and cameras. With the first 2 features, it's pretty obvious. iPhone 13 simply doesn't have them. It's not a huge loss by any means, but having crash detection satellite connectivity is quite nice. I must say it gives a certain confidence, you know? The cameras are where iPhone 14 really pulls ahead, but not by much. iPhone 14 shoots slightly better photos thanks to the Photonic engine and can do cinematic videos in 4K 30 FPS. Oh, and it also has an action mode, which makes videos super stable. But even with all those improvements, I still firmly believe that the 14 is not worth the extra money, simply because the target audience for these 2 iPhones is identical. And I know for a fact that none of those people who buy these phones will actually use these camera improvements or satellite connectivity. Just go for iPhone 13. You might think that 14 Plus is a viable option for those who want a bigger 6.7-inch display, but come on, it costs $799, just as much as the base iPhone 15, and the base iPhone 15 will be better in every way. And now we arrive at probably the most interesting iPhone deal there is, the iPhone 14 Pro. Look, it's now $789 on Amazon. There will be no better deal than this. 14 Pro is better than the 15 in every way except 2 minor things. It doesn't have rounded edges, and it cannot shoot photos in 24 megapixels. Aside from that, the 14 Pro excels in every way over the regular iPhone 15 and doesn't fall short of the iPhone 15 Pro either. Just think about it. iPhone 14 Pro has an amazing ProMotion display that is just as bright and big as on the 15 and 15 Pro. It doesn't have such narrow bezels as the iPhone 15 Pro does, but its display refreshes twice as often as the one on the regular iPhone 15. And believe me, ProMotion is something you definitely want to have on your phone. Without ProMotion, the animations don't feel as fast, and the fluidity of animations is extremely important for the dynamic island to work properly. I have no doubt that it will work as intended on the 60Hz panel of the iPhone 15, but you cannot avoid the obvious fact. On the 120Hz panel of the 14 Pro, it will look even better. Also, this display has always on, something the iPhone 15 doesn't have. I may have disabled always on in recent months to preserve battery health, but the feature itself is nice to have. And don't forget about the new feature of iOS 17, standby mode. In this mode, the iPhone shows glanceable information like a nightstand when it's flipped on its side and charging. This is a really cool and useful feature that many people will love. Also, to some, the 14 Pro might look even better than the titanium iPhone 15 Pro or the aluminum iPhone 15. Stainless steel has its own appeal. I'm not one of those people, but I can always appreciate good design. The 14 Pro looks really good. It's like a jewel you can hold. And iPhone 15 and 15 Pro won't have the same effect. Another thing to note is that 14 Pro has the same chip as the iPhone 15. The same amount of cores, the same amount of RAM, the same performance. So don't expect the 15 to be any faster than 14. 14 Pro, and 15 Pro with the A17 Pro inside is only slightly more powerful than the A16, and for most people, this difference will mean nothing. Of course, buying the 14 Pro comes with a few downsides. It doesn't have USB Type-C, which is the main issue, but the Lightning port it has is just as slow as the Type-C on the iPhone 15. I can hardly recall the last time I plugged my phone into a computer. If you're going to use the MagSafe charger and transfer files with AirDrop, then having a Lightning port and not Type-C won't be an issue for you. As for the cameras, that's where the 14 Pro really shines. It has 3 cameras, which is one more than the regular iPhone 15, and has the same sensor as the 15, and the photos it takes are just as good if not better. The dedicated 3x zoom lens is a nice bonus. Yes, the 14 Pro doesn't have the 5x zoom of the 15 Pro Max, but considering the price, I'm not sure that's an issue. So if you want the best iPhone deal on the market right now and can spare $800, then the iPhone 14 Pro is the one you should buy. But of course, I'm going to make a dedicated comparison of the Pro iPhone, so subscribe to see that. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next one.